I said on Tasha K's channel that I don't know what to believe at this point because so many different stories are coming out. But I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sticking where I'm kind of at in this moment because essentially I'm just a commentator. I don't have any power over this man's career or whether he goes to jail or not. But what I do notice in society is that a lot of men are violent. A lot of men don't know how to control their emotions. A lot of men feel like if they have power, they have access, they can handle women however they want to handle women. Because I feel like this picture proves you can see it. See, when they get all big and buff and they get facial hair, ways for them to hide the shit we would see if they didn't have any facial hair. Okay? I just told you why this picture. Because I don't want you to be looking at him being sexy and getting all mind fucked. I want you to hear me out. So I'm going to show you the version of him that I think is the most truthful. Also, I feel like this picture is giving, I told you hoes. Because originally, the Jonathan Major story was Jonathan Major's files counter complaint against ex-girlfriend claims he was the victim during March assault. And I read a whole damn article about this on Inside, y'all, about how they found video evidence that his lawyer provided that shows that his little white girlfriend, okay, put her hands on him. And what it really seems like is him and Grace Jabari, that's the ex-girlfriend, got into a dispute in a taxi at midnight about his phone. Some of us believe he may have been on the phone with Megan Good and he was trying to keep it from Megan Good. The girl said he twisted her arm, he mushed her, okay, and did things to get his phone out of her hand. He strong-armed her in an abusive manner, probably in a way that scared her a little bit. I don't think it applied the amount of pressure required to hurt her necessarily. Maybe not. Maybe not. But I do think he strong-armed her to get his phone away from her and then proceeded to get himself out of that situation. She had his credit card and he went and stayed at a hotel, and she went out and partied with some people that had saw the event take place when they were getting out of the taxi because people saw the shit, right? She goes and parties with these people. We see all of this evidence, this video evidence of her partying, showing that she had no bruises and that her fingers weren't hurt. So this video was supposed to prove that she wasn't really hurt. But a lot of that video was black and white. It was dark. She was far away. It was not that high definition like that. And you couldn't really tell if someone could have bruises or if their finger was hurting. I've heard many people say that when they break a finger, they couldn't feel it. Or when they dislocated a finger, they couldn't feel it. I've heard people say that before. So that wasn't enough evidence for me. Especially once you have 8 or 9 people going to the police station saying he's been abusive towards them. You also had his managing company and his management company and his agency all parted ways with him, cut ties with him about 2 weeks after. This happened at the end of March. His lawyer, who thought she was doing something smart, put out the text messages between the woman and him, and the woman was saying, "I'm not pressing charges. I told them that nothing happened. I told them that I passed out because of something that happened, prior, and you called the police because you were worried about my safety." This is a woman that sounds like she's making excuses and defending him and saying that I'm not trying to hurt you. Please don't be upset at me. She sounds like a woman that is probably in an abusive relationship. And there are a lot of men that are mentally and emotionally abusive. And they don't really have to be physically abusive until they get into moments like that, where you're trying to grab the phone because he's doing some shit, being slick, and you done caught him. And his response is now anger. So he can't really control himself in the moment. So he might hurt you more than he intended to. But he's still been abusing you because you're the type of personality that niggas will abuse. You the kind of quirky, crazy, reckless white girl that would just go and hang out with people she just met on the street and get fucked up and then go to his apartment instead of going to her house or somewhere else. You go to his apartment, get drunk, possibly hurt yourself, pass out, throw up, and then send him a text message saying you're going to unalive yourself. So he proceeds to come back to his apartment, get them to come break down the door, call the police. They find you unresponsive. And somehow, it makes it seem as if he did it. Now, to me, if he's the one that called the police, if he had to get the maintenance man to come and open the door, police officers, why did you arrest him? The lawyer also said that on body cam footage, you can hear them walking around his 3-story penthouse apartment in utter astonishment that a black man has this money. So now they're trying to push the woman to say that he did something to her. And she keeps saying, I don't know. But she also just woke up out of a drunken stupor where she took pills, drank alcohol, passed out, and threw up. So she may not necessarily remember or have been clear enough in that moment to tell you exactly what happened. Later on, she, I guess, told the police, we got into it by the taxi, he grabbed my arm, whatever. But at the very beginning, y'all, when we first heard about this, it was as if we were only hearing about the shit that happened in the taxi. So information was coming out very weirdly. There's a part of me that believe there are two truths in this story, right? I do believe those police officers were probably racist. I do believe they may have pressured her to say that he did something. And I also believe that he probably did something. That he may be an abusive personality, period, just because you chose a woman that was this mentally unstable. And usually when men like him choose mentally unstable people, it's because they want to be able to abuse them and get away with it, because they can then just say the girl crazy. I also feel like, why did it take you 3 months to give us this type of evidence? Yes, wasn't the original story given by Jonathan's lawyer was Grace begged Jonathan to come back into the taxi after he got out? Listen, that's what I'm saying. Also, isn't the ex suing him? It's the state, right? It isn't her, it's the state. People spread misinformation. Exactly. So to me, I feel like they had enough time to come up with a story that sounds plausible based on the facts that we have. But I also feel like you waited too long to come out with this story. I also feel like you probably had time to pay off people who were eyewitnesses to what happened. Okay? I do. But then, hold up, y'all. But then, just as that story was gaining steam and y'all was ready to all dismiss the Jonathan Majors shit, this comes out. Jonathan Majors can't seem to catch a break. As we all know, he's currently battling a domestic assault charge. Now, almost a dozen different people that claim to have known the actor say that he isn't a nice person. In fact, they all say he was verbally abusive as well as physically sometimes. Rolling Stone exclusively talks to 40 different people who have known the actor through his various stages of life. Many describe Majors as being a complicated, unpredictable, and sometimes violent man who can switch from charming to cold in a flash. I don't know why that's hard for people to believe. Their stories suggest a pattern of alleged physical, mental, and emotional abuse that dates back a decade to Majors' time at Yale's David Geffen School of Drama, where he was involved in physical altercations, and it continued to the sets of his movies and TV shows. More than a dozen people claim that Jonathan was abusive to 2 of his partners, one physically and both emotionally. It was pervasively known that he was a good actor and that he also would terrorize the people that he had dated. One of those sources says Majors allegedly strangled one woman he was dating and was mentally and emotionally abusive towards her, 9 of those sources claim. The second woman allegedly told friends that her relationship with Majors was emotional torture. She said, my experience of dealing with him and watching him in relationships with several women is really upsetting, says one person familiar with at least two of Major's relationships. As an outside observer, it made me uncomfortable. No one is surprised that this is coming out, one source says. It always felt like it was a matter of time because his behavior never changed. He's kind of a bad dude, and now it's just catching up with him. Sources also claim Jonathan was aggressive towards crew members on the set of a recent film. He allegedly pushed one person while on set and physically intimidated another while screaming at them, leading to a complaint from producers. His lawyer denies all the claims. And of course, everybody in the comments has their capes on. We don't know if it's true. Y'all trying to destroy him. All of that shit. Y'all, my only problem with defending men when stories like this come out is the fact that there are so many men that really are like this, especially in positions of any type of fame or power. As part of Major's legal team's response to Rolling Stone's request for comment on the abuse allegations, his attorney sent 6 character witness statements from women who Majors had dated or was close with. Major's attorney noted in his statement that Rolling Stone was provided statements from Mr. Major's actual past romantic partners attesting to his character and the falsity of the charges, but Rolling Stone purposefully ignored those facts and red flags and published the false charges anyway. In fact, Rolling Stone reached out to all 6 people. 3 say they never gave Major's team permission. This is, I love the way the Rolling Stone writer did this. His lawyer, who I believe is very weird, it's something about her that's giving you're probably obsessed with him. So that's why you're fighting on his behalf in such a way, because it's not giving competent lawyer based on her releasing those text messages. Anybody that had any common sense would have realized that those text messages did not make him look innocent at all. In fact, Rolling Stone reached out to all 6 people. 3 say they never gave Major's team permission to release such statements. Another woman declined to share the statement credited to her by Major's team, saying it was pre-written, not truthful, and that she had never approved of its release. One did not respond to a request for comment. So Rolling Stone did their due diligence to check the women that the lawyer gave to them. I didn't know that. Only one woman consented to making her statement public, Haley Carter, a woman whom Majors dated from age 13 to 18. Described Majors as sweet, kind, and gentle in a message drafted in late March. After 20 years of knowing him, I can tell you who Jonathan is. He did not do these things, the statement said in part. He is exactly the opposite of what these allegations say. Jonathan is the most self-controlled, disciplined, well-mannered person I know. We all call him the peacekeeper. He is not violent in any way. Okay, so one of those women out of all of the 6, one of those women has come to his defense. And that's how you know she lying. That's how you know she lying. He himself has said that he was getting in fights and getting suspended at school. So how the fuck she gonna come up and tell us that he was the peacemaker? But you tell me, dad left, you have a stepdad that you probably don't get along with for whatever reason, and then you were fighting in school and pulled a knife on somebody. That doesn't give me peacemaker, but okay. Acting became a refuge and arena to grapple with and redirect his emotions. You can redirect them, but if you don't deal with them, they will still be there. The anger came from the inability to articulate my sadness, he explained to Texas Monthly, which is what acting really gave me, the ability to articulate with language, with nuance, with emotion, what I'm feeling. Majors pursued acting in college, graduating from the University of North Carolina School of the Arts in Winston-Salem in 2012. He moved to New York and later enrolled in the Yale School of Drama in fall of 2013. Administrators only select around 15 students annually for the extremely selective 3-year program. So you know he was absolutely using all of his emotions and his feelings to his benefit. But the thing about it is, if you don't ever really get real help, you only learn how to control yourself to a certain extent. And yes, you may learn how to deal with your anger in your roles, and that makes you good at your job, but that doesn't mean that you're going to control your anger in your personal relationships because you haven't really done anything to deal with it. So Majors pursued acting. Okay, Majors' presence and the passion he brought, according to a classmate, challenged those in his years to match his fervor, making them all stronger actors. However, it also created a highly competitive atmosphere in what was regarded as a safe space. Growing up playing football, Majors likened being at Yale to that of a sports team. One former classmate says, I heard him say, you don't choose your teammates. You don't have to love everybody, but you do have to respect everybody, they recall. Nearly every alumni who spoke to Rolling Stone noted Major's obvious talent, dedication, drive, and the feeling he was bound for greater things. His tremendous potential as an individual, combined with his focus and a hard work ethic, was something that I expected was going to take him very far. One former schoolmate says, further describing Majors as poised and kind. There's obviously hard work and intensity, and then there's fear-based intensity, explains another former graduate whose time at Yale overlapped with Majors. There's this don't step out of line with him, just do what he says sort of thing. There's an energy and a culture around him that you didn't really cross the line that he created. Nothing, especially in the pedagogy of that school, is fly off the handle. Okay, his behavior was very problematic for his class, another Yale alumni says. A lot of people felt in physical danger around him and certainly in mentally precarious positions because of him. Things reached a point where the Yale administration once sent an email reminder about rehearsal etiquette and violence one day after Majors was involved in a separate altercation with two other students. A former Yale student claims the two students did not reply to requests for comment. People just don't want to be bothered. One of Major's schoolmates claims Major struck him while goofing around during a short break during a rehearsal. The men had been playfully wrestling when the former schoolmate claims he pulled a fast surprise move on Majors, which seemed to stun him. Majors responded by slapping him across the face. Taken aback, the schoolmate says that he confronted Majors on why he hit him, but Majors allegedly shrugged it off and acted like it wasn't a big deal. He can be very charismatic and really gentlemanlike and sweet, but then he could also be really cold, scary, and violent, the schoolmate says. He's an actor, and y'all are surprised that he can switch on a dime like that? Duh. The incidents alarmed his peers enough that they voiced their concerns to the administration several times and told school officials that they felt unsafe around him. One complaint stemmed from Majors allegedly telling the women of his class that they didn't match the caliber of tenacity of the men. However, no action was apparently taken. Former Yale graduates claim that in addition to the students' complaints, professors in the administration were already aware of Major's disruptiveness in the classroom because instructors saw it firsthand. Yale instructors who were present during the alleged incidents did not respond to requests for comment. A spokesperson for the program declined to comment on any specific allegations about Major's behavior, but says that Yale is committed to preserving the confidentiality and integrity of its complaint processes. This commitment helps encourage our community members to participate and is consistent with state and federal privacy laws. So stay quiet, but you ain't doing nothing about it. So what they gonna tell you for? Do y'all hear this shit? He can be very charismatic, child. They say after graduating from Yale, Major's career took off. In the span of a decade, he was nominated for an Emmy for his work on HBO's Lovecraft Country, inked a deal with Marvel, and was on his way to heartthrob status after starring opposite Michael B. Jordan in Creed 3. But his intimidating behavior, sources allege, continued. Hollywood has lauded Majors for his dedication to his roles, with the actor pulling from different method acting techniques to immerse himself into a character. He's admitted to taking his commitment to the extreme, often staying in character throughout preparation and filming. Majors told Men's Health that he once took a co-star out on a 1950s-style ice cream date as a part of his process and nearly bit off the head of a director who tried to tell Majors to scale back in one scene. Whatever it takes for me, whatever it takes, he said. So his own self-proclaimed actions are telling you that he is unhinged in some respect, in some regard. I can just see it on him, but I can't tell y'all that because y'all won't believe me. Y'all will think I'm just making shit up. But I can just see it on him, to be honest. It's just something in the mannerisms that I've been picking up since I've been watching him not acting. But those who worked with him say his method acting went far beyond what was typical and created an atmosphere where some felt unable to do their jobs out of fear of Majors lashing out at them. On the set of Devotion, a 2022 film inspired by the life of Jesse Brown, the U.S. Navy's first Black aviator, the costume department allegedly had issues with Majors, including an instance where he made costumers cry on set, according to a production source. It started to become borderline abusive. The production source says, claiming that a crew member eventually raised concerns to producers about his behavior. It seemed like it was some kind of sick pleasure that he took out of it. Once those girls cried, he did it to people who he could tell would be too afraid to stand up for themselves. Majors did not reply to specific queries about the allegation. In a statement, production company Black Label Media claimed there was no formal complaint filed against Majors, yet did not respond to questions on if there were concerns or issues raised. Majors' upcoming movie, Magazine Dreams, was being discussed as his Oscar moment, but production sources also described Majors behaving in a way that mirrored the experience of his Yale schoolmates. Two production members claimed that Majors reacted to them in a physical manner while on set, pushing one person away from him and moving in an intimidating manner toward the other while yelling, which led to a complaint. Other production sources corroborated the separate incidents. A production source with knowledge of the situation acknowledged the complaint, but claimed the incident didn't involve physical contact or intimidation on Major's part. Jonathan was immediately made aware of the complaint, and he was mortified that he had made someone feel bad. The production source adds that producers feel strongly that we would have heard about any physical inappropriateness. The Elijah Bynum directed film, which is slated to be released by Searchlight Pictures in December, follows a bodybuilder who is obsessed with becoming a champion, but is overcome with self-resentment and simmering rage. Oh, child. 3 sources claim Major still made some people feel uncomfortable and was verbally aggressive, both screaming and cursing at crew members all the time. Major's legal team has gone on the offense, filing a counter police complaint against the woman, claiming the woman had hit and scratched the actor. His attorneys have provided text exchanges between the former couple and images reportedly of the actor's injuries that his lawyers claim offers evidence the woman was the aggressor in the situation. Doug Cohen, a spokesperson for the DA's office, declined to comment to Rolling Stone on if the NYPD had an active notice for probable cause to arrest the woman. He noted the investigation and case into the assault charges against Mr. Majors remains ongoing. Majors' team has also implied there is racial bias in the DA's office investigation and claimed Majors is a victim of a witch hunt. Y'all always say that. In a statement, the woman's attorney, Brad Edwards, tells Rolling Stone that his client was frightened to death of Mr. Majors. I think now it should be obvious to everyone why. Using the media to gaslight is not a strategy that should garner him much long-term sympathy. Out of respect for the criminal process and the prosecuting attorneys that will make decisions based on evidence, we do not intend to respond to rumors and will instead allow the criminal process to work without the sideshow that Mr. Majors and his team are trying to create, which is what I feel. That I'm telling y'all, that fucking lawyer is weird. Going to court with Megan Good, it's all too much to prove innocence when the actual facts of the case need to be the only thing to prove the innocence. Why are you doing all of this extra shit? While Majors faces criminal charges, those who knew him have grappled with his dichotomous behavior while at a storied institution where excellence reigns and on sets where his skills are recognized at the sacrifice of many who have dealt with his volatile behavior. He's a master at knowing what people want to see. Remember I told y'all, do y'all remember what I told y'all? Do y'all remember what I told y'all when me and the Ooh Ladies First panel, we talked about Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan, and I told y'all that Jonathan Majors was being like out, he was being manipulative with this interviewer. Oh, we so glad it's you. We so glad it was you. Oh my God. You know, and everybody was loving on them for that day online. That clip went viral. And I was like, he's being manipulative. He's trying to help Michael B. Jordan get out of his bullshit that he's in right now. Like, I'm just letting y'all know, like what I see when I see it. It was given strategic. It was given manipulative. And guess what? It says here, those who knew the women who were allegedly abused acknowledge that many people find Majors magnetic and charming, but they claim it's all a facade supported by his talent. He's an incredible manipulator, one source says. He's a master at knowing what people want to see. And that's what I saw when I looked at him. So yeah, we can believe what we want to believe right now. We'll see what the courts are going to do about it, girl.